at number 10, she should be able to snog her husband. Shouldn't we all? I mean, we shouldn't all be able to snog Prince Philip, but like, if we have husbands, isn't it our right to snog them? PDAs are not a-okay with royals. The Queen can't even hold hands with her husband, let alone kiss him. It is one thing for the Queen not to be able to touch non-royals, but her husband, come on. The Queen is not free to act how she would like in public. There is a strict protocol when it comes to interacting with other people. While she is allowed to shake hands with high-profile members of society and other royalty, this is a polite introduction. She is also allowed to dance with other members of high society at formal events, but she's not allowed to show any affection to her husband during public appearances, which seems pretty crazy to me considering they've been married for 71 years. Perhaps this royal law the Queen has to follow is one of the reasons the British are considered to have such stiff upper lips. I'm thinking Queenie should be able to loosen up those lips and pucker up to fill. Coming in at number 9, she doesn't need a driving license. The Queen does not need a driving license. Unlike everyone else in the United Kingdom, the Queen did not need to apply for a driving license when she was 17. She didn't even need to take any driving lessons or a test to be able to drive. All driving licenses in the United Kingdom are issued in the Queen's name, so if she felt like having one, she could just in theory issue one to herself. Despite no test or license, the Queen is a competent driver. She actually drove an ambulance in World War II. When the Prince of Saudi Arabia visited in 1998, she drove him around her estate in her Land Rover. Now some say this was a boss queen move to advocate women's rights, because in Saudi, women aren't allowed to drive. Coming in at number 8, she doesn't have to stick to the speed limit. Not that the Queen necessarily goes around speeding, but technically she does not have to abide by the speed limits. Queen Elizabeth's sister, the late Princess Margaret, didn't have the same privilege, as she was once fined for speeding. Rumour has it, Elizabeth does like to drive pretty fast, but these days she does almost exclusively all of her driving on her own private estates. Coming in at number 7, she doesn't need a passport. A lot like with the driving license, the Queen can travel freely without a passport. She is one of only a very small handful of people that are able to travel without the otherwise legal requirement. Even huge celebrities like Taylor Swift will need to get their passports checked before they enter a country. This is an exemption saved only for monarchs. All British passports are issued by Her Royal Majesty, so again, in theory, she could just issue herself one. But what's the point? It's only one more thing that she's likely to forget when she packs for her holidays. Coming in at number 6, she is exempt from freedom of information requests. Like most countries, the United Kingdom has a freedom of information system that allows the press and public to reasonably ask questions about various situations. Many say this is vital in a democratic society like in the UK, but the royal family have used their powers to block the Freedom of Information Act from applying to them. To put it simply, the Queen's affairs, her family affairs, they are absolutely private. Coming in at number 5, the Queen doesn't have to pay tax. While all working UK citizens by law have to pay tax on their earnings, the Queen does not have to. However, she has voluntarily paid tax since 1992, which is very good of her. Coming in at number 4, she can start a war and she can refuse to make peace. While this technically isn't a law, the Queen is the only person who can legally declare war and peace. While this usually is carried out by Parliament, it absolutely cannot happen without royal approval. If the Queen wanted to declare war on America tomorrow, she legally could and the countries would be at war. Coming in at number 3, the Queen can refuse laws. Laws don't become laws in the UK until the Queen says so. Once a law has been passed through the Parliament and the House of Lords, it comes to the Queen so she can give it her royal assent. If she wanted to refuse a law, she could, although she probably never will. The last time a British monarch actually refused their royal assent was in 1708 when Queen Anne refused for settling the militia in Scotland. Coming in at number 2, the Queen cannot be sued or prosecuted. What? Don't even think about trying to sue the Queen because you legally can't. She also cannot, as monarch, be sent to jail. Neither does she have to give evidence in court. This actually applies internationally too. The Queen is above the law. So this kind of leads me to my number 1 point. This list could have actually been our first ever most amazing top 1 because really, the Queen can break any law. The monarch of the United Kingdom is wholeheartedly above the law. They do not have to abide by any laws of the people. They have never had to abide by the laws of the people. The Queen legally can do whatever she wants. She could even commit murder. Although, of course, she wouldn't. The Queen remains within the law as to set an example to her subjects. While she is above the law and cannot be sent to jail, if she ever did do something to test this, it would be likely that in practice she would see the repercussions and be overthrown. Once a monarch is no longer on the throne, for example by way of abdication, then they have to answer to the law like the rest of us. Coming in at number 10, she can seize treasure. Nobody but the Queen can walk into the Tower of London, pick up a whole load of jewels and just walk on out. They'd be arrested very, very quickly. This statement that Britain owns the royal jewels is actually false. They're royal assets, and when presented in public at exhibitions, they're done so by gracious permission of the Queen. The Queen owns an insane collection of jewels and art, including 600 Leonardo da Vinci works, so if she wanted to paper her lavatory walls with them, she literally could. I for one would really like me a crown.
Moving on to number 9 now, she should be able to sit how she wants. At first, I didn't even fully believe this one, but yes, there is actually a proper way for the Queen to sit down on a chair. I'm not talking about her not being allowed to do like a handstand on a chair. I'm talking about tiny details that most people wouldn't even notice, but some traditionalists definitely would. This one actually applies to the larger royal family in general, but the guidelines state that the worst thing to possibly do is to sit with your legs crossed at the knee. The proper way, and this really is the key to it, is that the legs and the knees must be kept together. But Danny, I hear you ask, what about the ankles? Remember when I tell you the ankles don't matter. Okay, the Queen can cross them all day, but the legs and knees must never cross, else the world as we know it will end, or kind of. A popular way of incorporating this is the Duchess slant, sitting position popularised by Kate Middleton. Is this too far? Should the Queen be allowed to sit with crossed legs on a beanbag if she fancies it? If there's a vote, I vote yes.
Is the Queen even allowed to sit on a beanbag chair? Ooh, and what about blow-up chairs of the 90s? Can the Queen sit on those? So many questions. So many questions. Coming in at number 8, she should be allowed to eat what she wants. For the love of shellfish, let the Queen eat a prawn. While you would imagine that as a literal queen you could eat whatever you want, when I imagine being queen, which I often do, I imagine that I'm laying on a chaise lounge having manservants coming to feed me cheese, grapes and wine all day. But in reality it seems that the royal family's diets are strictly controlled. Things have sure changed since old King Henry's time, eh? He loved to feast on a turkey leg, but nay, no more. It is said that the Queen likes to eat cornflakes for breakfast and by and large won't eat potatoes and pasta for dinner. Now those things are probably down to personal choice, but there are a few foods that are categorically off the menu, namely shellfish. I am a struggling vegetarian myself, but sometimes I do eat shellfish because I feel like it's okay to eat fish without eyes. Anyway, the Queen apparently can never know the love of an oyster or a scallop. She can't eat raw fish either, which takes a lot of sushi off the menu. The reason being is that it's just simply too risky. Also deemed too risky is a curry. I'd be devastated if this was me. I'm actually going to be like sending that crown back, because if I can't eat what I want and curry's off the menu, who even am I and what is the point in being queen? What is more British than Queen Liz and a Vindaloo? But unfortunately they aren't a combo that can be enjoyed together. Okay, this is quite a big one for me coming in at number 7. She should be able to choose her own religion. I feel like it's a human right to be able to choose who or what to believe in. However, the Queen has no choice but to be a Christian, a Protestant at that. The Church and the Crown have been intertwined since the beginning of the British monarchy. Monarchs of the past have believed that they were chosen by God to rule the country, which, I mean, sure. Prior to Henry VIII, the Church basically had its own laws that monarchs even had to follow. A king or a queen is much lower in status than a god. But then Chappy Boy VIII decided he wanted out of his marriage and set up the Church of England, a Protestant Reformation. Since the See of E was formed in 1534 by his royal horniness, the Crown has had a duty to uphold the faith, meaning a belief in God comes with the territory for the reigning monarch of the UK. That seems weirdly outdated for a very multicultural kingdom. Of course, if this is what the Queen wants and believes in, then that is amazing and I support it, but the point is, she doesn't actually actually have any choice, and I really don't think that religion should be forced on anyone.
Coming in at number 6 now, we're taking it down a notch in terms of seriousness. She should be allowed to take a selfie. Have you ever seen someone take a selfie with the Queen? Oh wait. I had a look, and honestly, on the whole of the internet, you'd be hard pressed to find a real selfie someone took with the Queen. Now this might be because the kind of people the Queen hangs out with probably aren't really into selfies, or maybe it's the prestigious events she attends, or maybe, just maybe, it's a secret rule of the royal family. Meghan Markle once told a fan that she and Prince Harry weren't allowed to take a selfie with them. That's right, they aren't actually allowed. Allowed sounds like the kind of word you would use if there was some sort of secret rule, am I right? Plot thickened in 2014 when US Ambassador Matthew Barzan revealed why the Queen doesn't like them. Eye contact. It's all about eye contact. Apparently the Queen prefers actually talking to people face to face, and these days the first thing people tend to do when they meet someone famous is to just swivel around and try and take a selfie. The Queen got sick of this, and it seems like the rest of the royal family has followed suit.
Oh, you're trying to take a selfie? I'm sorry, I can't. I'm Queen.
Say Queen.
Queen! Alright, never mind a selfie. She should be able to take a day off when she wants. The Queen is always on duty. Her job is being the Queen of the United Kingdom, and the only day she can stop being Queen is when she dies. On the one hand, sure, she's the monarch of the country, but it's a very, very powerful job. She's also very privileged, so should she expect to Netflix and chill like us commoners? The thing is though, she actually is one of the hardest working people in the UK. All full-time workers in the United Kingdom, even those at the very bottom of the job ladder, are entitled to 5.6 weeks of holiday pay a year. The Queen gets just 2 days, and even then, she's still on call. Every day the Queen receives a red box from the government. If you've ever seen The Crown, then you will know this. The only 2 days she is not obliged to read the contents of these red boxes is on Christmas Day and Easter. Of course, she does make her famous Christmas Day speech, but that is recorded beforehand. And it's not like these two are actually really days off anyway. The Queen does have other duties she likes to perform on Christmas and Easter. For one, she goes to church services, and she's always available if need be in the case of national emergency. Like I said, the Queen never gets a day off.
Next up at number 4 now, the Queen shouldn't have to stay neutral. You have opinions, right? You probably shared your opinion public today somewhere. Maybe you told your mum that the pasta sauce tastes funny. Maybe you told someone on Twitter Jaden Smith is actually a pretty good artist. Maybe you've already written a nasty comment about me in the comment section below. Doesn't matter what it is, the point is you share your opinions freely. And that's something the Queen can't really do sometimes. As the head of state for the UK, she has to remain strictly neutral when it comes to anything political. No matter how much the government or politicians of any country is annoying the Queen, she can't say anything good or bad about them, ever. Since she became the Queen in 1952, she has seen 12 British Prime Ministers come and go, and 12 US Presidents too. You know, she must have disliked a few of them, but she had to put down the phone and stop herself from tweeting it out. Good job, Elizabeth. Moving on to number 3 now, she should be allowed to say every word. This is a weird one, but I found an article where a social anthropologist outlined 6 words that the royal family, and most importantly the Queen, are not really allowed to say. 6 words they will only say to each other in private. Now you might be thinking these are swear words that we would normally bleep out on a video like this if I was to say them, like this one. I'm kidding, I didn't say anything bad there. Okay, so the first word on this list is pardon, as in, pardon, I didn't hear you. Instead, they're supposed to say sorry, or sorry what. If the Queen still can't hear you, she'll just leave. Toilet is another word that's thought of as a little bit vulgar to say. Apparently, you're supposed to say loo instead. Perfume is another word that's supposed to be replaced with scent. I have no idea about that one. For all you British people who say that you're having some tea, as in your dinner, the Queen doesn't like that. You're supposed to actually say dinner or supper. The next word on the list is lounge. No. It's sitting or dining room. And finally, we have the word posh. Presumably because, I don't know, they are very posh and they hope if people don't say it, the word will go away. As you can see here, I'm now clutching at straws.
Coming into number 2, she should be allowed to vote. So this is an actual steadfast law. The Queen isn't allowed to vote. I totally understand the reasoning on some level, but on another it doesn't really make any sense. So according to the UK Parliament website, Although not prohibited by law, it is considered unconstitutional for the monarch to vote in an election. So the reason the Queen can't vote is that she is supposed to be basically apolitical. She's supposed to support whoever is elected by the British public. The Crown has long been losing its power steadily for hundreds of years. The Queen can no longer make laws, although it certainly seems like she can break them. I'm not sure that I would be happy lending my support to someone when I never even had the slightest say who was in control. The Queen will know more about UK politics than almost any living person, but she can't have her say. I don't know if that's fair.
And finally, number 1 now, we have she should be allowed to dress how she wants. Now I know what you're thinking, the Queen chooses to dress the way she does. Of course, I understand that, there's a lot of tradition involved though as well, but perhaps the Queen should be allowed to loosen up a little bit. There's a certain level of etiquette to how the Queen looks when she steps out into the public eye. For example, she'll only be seen in clear nail polish. Also, she apparently has a clutch bag on her at all times, which she has to hold in a certain way. She'll often be seen wearing gloves, which is surely a sign from a bygone era, as well as hats at every single formal event. Some of these might be self-imposed rules, some of them might come from public pressure. Either way, we all need to loosen up sometimes in life, and maybe this is the best way to do it for the Queen.
Coming in at number 10, she can eat a swan. In the UK, it is illegal to hunt swans. While we're able to eat chicken, pheasant, duck, pigeon, turkey and things like that, in the United Kingdom it is not okay to kill and eat a swan. The swans in the UK are protected by the Queen, who also owns all of the mute, unmarked swans, as well as all of the swans on the River Thames. As the Queen partially owns the swans, she could, in theory, indulge in her forefathers' favourite meal of roasted swan with stuffing. She probably won't though, she takes her duty as swan protector pretty seriously. I feel like I've said swan a lot. Coming in at number 9, she could have a pet dolphin. While it's illegal to have a dolphin in captivity in the UK, the Queen actually owns all of the whales, sturgeons and dolphins and porpoises. If they're swimming in UK water, they're the Queen's. This basically means that if she really wanted to have a huge fish tank installed at Buckingham Palace with a few token dolphins, legally she could. Although I'm pretty sure she'd be advised against it pretty darn quickly. Coming in at number 8, the Queen can shoplift. You may know that the Queen does not have to pay tax from watching our part 1, but did you know that technically the Queen doesn't have to pay for anything? If there was a national emergency, for example, the Queen is the only person who can legally loot. There is a law that says, in a national emergency, the Queen can take private property. Coming in at number 7, she can print cash. I mean, the dream, the literal dream. Did you know that the Queen has her very own personal cash point in Buckingham Palace, and the cash point is provided by Cots, one of Britain's most prestigious banks? Imagine that, like, you need cash, so you just pop downstairs to the royal family private cash machine and draw some out. No more checking the back of the sofa for pizza money. How the other half live. Coming in at number 6, she can fire the Australian government. Apparently so anyway. I mean, you can't fire the Australian government. You can't even try. It's against the law. However, Queenie Baby can waltz right in and lay down that law. In 1975, the Queen actually did fire the Aussie PM via her representative Sir John Kerr. I mean, if we're being really technical, she could also fire the Prime Minister of the UK, but she probably wouldn't. Also, she could probably fire the Prime Minister of Canada, but who wants to mess with Trudeau? Major babe. Coming in at number 5, she can have 2 birthday parties and she can lie about her age. Lying about my age on government documents could get me in a fair amount of trouble, but the Queen has 2 birthdays to choose from. I don't know, this one's kind of tenuous, but like, who else can have 2 official birthday parties and claim 2 loads of presents? It's like against birthday law for everyone else. Is birthday law official law? I don't know. Okay, this is where things get crazy. Coming in at number 4, she can break and enter. One of the Queen's prerogative powers is the power to enter upon, take and destroy private property in a national emergency. Basically, if World War III ever happens, or somebody so much as launches a missile to the UK, or somebody assassinates the Prime Minister, the Queen could use her emergency measures to break and enter. Coming in at number 3, she is also allowed to vandalize property. Again, as part of the same power, she can enter upon, take and destroy private property. It's pretty clear here, she can vandalize stuff. So if the Queen keys your car or throws a brick through your window, you're just gonna have to get over it. Coming in at number 2, this is crazy. The Queen can steal children. It's fact. There is an old law that says the Queen has guardianship of infants and those suffering certain mental disorders. Yes, it's an archaic law, so nobody really knows what the heck it means, but basically it's suggesting that she is the legal guardian of all infants and some people with mental disabilities. I mean, I'd like to see her try and exercise that one. Oh, I like your baby! Finally, at number 1, technically, she could kill someone. I mean, she literally wouldn't, but in my last list I made it pretty clear that the Queen is above all laws, because she literally is. The monarch is immune from prosecution, meaning if she did kill someone, her sovereign immunity would save her from jail. Although to be honest, if that ever did happen, and it absolutely wouldn't, I'm sure that the Queen would face serious political repercussions. But technically, this is what we're working with. Technically.